My CEO grabbed my wrist in the milk aisle and said, "Pretend you're my boyfriend right now or you're fired." That was the moment my life stopped feeling simple. Up until that night, I was just Liam Shaw. I am 26, living in a quiet suburb outside San Diego. The kind of place that has strip malls, palm trees, and streets that all look the same under the hot sun. I work as an analyst at a big strategy firm downtown. It is a solid job, with a good paycheck. It keeps my one-bedroom apartment stocked with coffee and pays the rent on time. My life is simple. I wake up at 6:30, make black coffee, drive into the city, sit at my desk in our glass office tower, and spend the day crunching numbers and building reports. Most nights I stay late, finish my work, then maybe go for a jog along the coast or crash on my couch with a movie. I am not the guy who goes out clubbing every weekend. I am not the guy who has some wild dating story. I had a couple of short relationships in college, but nothing deep. I guess I keep my guard up. It is easier to focus on work than let someone close enough to hurt me. The firm I work for is one of those shiny giants with high ceilings, glass walls, and people in suits who walk fast and talk faster. At the top of it all is our CEO, Vivian Hart. Vivian is 39. She has the kind of presence that makes a room go quiet without her even trying. People call her the Ice Queen behind her back. I have heard it in the break room whispers. Cold, untouchable, sharp. I have seen her in meetings from a distance. Dark hair pulled back tight. Perfect suits. Eyes that seem to cut straight through any excuse. She is the type of person older men in expensive suits fear. They avoid her gaze, stumble over their words. Me, I am just an analyst. I run numbers for strategies that have her name on top. I had never spoken to her one-on-one. She was something like a legend. Someone you see on the top floor, through glass, but never get close to, until that night in the supermarket. It was around 10 at night. The air outside felt thick with salt from the ocean and the leftover heat from the day. I had run out of coffee filters again and needed milk for the morning. So there I was, standing under buzzing fluorescent lights in this half-empty store, holding a carton of almond milk and wondering if I should just buy regular milk to save some money. I was alone in the aisle, or at least I thought I was. One second I was staring at the shelf, the next a hand grabbed my wrist so hard I almost dropped the milk. I turned, and my heart almost stopped. It was Vivian, my CEO. Standing there in jeans and a simple top, her dark hair loose around her shoulders, no suit, no heels. No perfect boardroom armor, her face was pale, her eyes wide and locked on something over my shoulder. She stepped in close, so close I could feel her breath on my neck, and whispered, "Pretend you're my boyfriend right now, or you're fired." My brain froze. I just stared at her, the carton of milk hanging from my hand. "What?" I managed to say. Her fingers tightened around my wrist. I could feel her nails press into my skin. "Do not ask questions. Just hold my hand and smile. Act like this is normal." Her voice was low and sharp, but underneath it, there was something else. Fear. I swallowed hard. My job, my apartment, my whole careful life flashed through my head in 1 second. I did the only thing I could think of. I nodded. I let the milk drop into the basket at my feet, took her hand, and forced my mouth into something close to a smile. Her hand was ice cold and shaking. I caught the faint scent of her perfume, something soft and expensive, like jasmine and cedar. My heart was pounding like I had just sprinted, but I tried to look calm. I followed her gaze. A tall man was pushing a cart down the aisle toward us with a younger woman hanging on his arm. He wore a designer jacket and had that smug grin rich guys seem to grow with their money. The woman with him was laughing at something he said, her hand resting on his chest, like she needed everyone to know he was hers. "Her ex-husband?" I whispered without moving my lips. Vivian's jaw tightened. "And his new girlfriend," she muttered back. Her tone was flat, but I could feel the anger and pain under it. I did not know their story, but I could feel the weight of it in the way she clung to my hand, so I squeezed her fingers, just a little, like I was telling her I had her back. "Hey, babe," I said, loud enough for them to hear as they moved closer down the aisle. "Did you find that wine you like?" The words felt strange in my mouth. Babe, wine. It felt like some scene out of a cheesy movie. But when she looked up at me, something in her eyes changed. The panic slipped back, just a bit. "Yes," she said, and her voice sounded almost steady. "I did." She leaned into me, her shoulder brushing my arm. For a second, it almost felt real. Like we were just a couple picking up groceries late at night. We walked past her ex and his girlfriend. I slid my arm around her waist in one smooth move, hoping it looked natural from the outside. I could feel how tense she was, her muscles tight under my hand, but then I felt her slowly exhale and relax into me. The man glanced at us as we passed. His eyes moved from her to me, then back again. I could not read his expression, but he looked curious, maybe annoyed that she did not stop. The woman with him did not even look up. We made it to the end of the aisle, turned the corner, and kept walking like nothing had happened. When we stepped out into the parking lot, the cool night air wrapped around us. Vivian let go of my hand like it was on fire. She took a deep breath, lifted her chin, and I watched her slide the CEO mask back into place right in front of me. "You are better at this than I expected, Liam," she said, her voice dry again. I tried to joke, even though my chest was tight. "So you really would have fired me if I said no?" She looked at me then, a quick glance, and the corner of her mouth lifted in the smallest smile. "No," she said, "but you should start buying coffee before you get to the office." Then she turned and walked toward a sleek black BMW, unlocked it, and got in without another word. I stood there in the parking lot holding a basket with milk and coffee filters, my skin still tingling where her hand had been, and wondered what had just happened to my life. I did not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face in that harsh grocery store light. The fear, the anger, the way she had leaned into me and steadied her breathing. I smelled her perfume on my wrist, and it felt like the moment was still happening. The next morning, the glass tower of the firm rose over downtown San Diego like nothing had changed. I walked in with my usual travel mug of coffee and my badge clipped to my belt, telling myself it had been a strange one-time thing. From my desk, I saw her walk through the office, hair pulled back tight, black suit, heels clicking on the tile, voice sharp as she gave orders. She did not look at me. She did not nod or smile or show even a flicker of what happened in that supermarket. For a second, I wondered if I had dreamed it. Then, at 12:03 p.m., an email popped up in my inbox. From Vivian Hart. Subject, meeting body. My office, 1 p.m., do not be late. My hand shook on the mouse. The woman who told me to pretend to be her boyfriend last night now wanted to see me alone in her office. And I had no idea if this was about my job, the lie we had just told together, or something even more dangerous. By the time 1 p.m. rolled around, my stomach felt like it was full of rocks. I walked down the hallway toward Vivian's office, past glass walls and polished floors that showed my nervous face back at me. Her office door was closed. I knocked once. "Come in," she said. I stepped inside. Her office was all clean lines, white walls, a big dark desk, and a view of the Pacific that made everything else feel small. Vivian sat behind her laptop, typing. She didn't look up right away. "Sit," she said, pointing to the chair across from her. I sat, trying not to fidget. My mind was racing through every file I had touched in the last month. Had I made some mistake? Was last night about to bite me? She finished what she was typing, then leaned back in her chair and looked at me. Those sharp, dark eyes were on me now, not some chart on a screen. "The firm's annual gala is next week," she said. "It is a big event. Clients, board members, investors, press." Quote. I nodded, even though I had only ever seen the gala in photos and company emails. People in gowns and tuxes, money in one room. "I cannot go alone this year," she went on. "Not after my divorce, not with certain people watching." I knew who she meant, the man in the supermarket aisle with the smug smile. "You did well last night," she said. "You made it look real. I need that again." I frowned. You need me to pretend to be your boyfriend, again." "Yes," she said, "at the gala, one night. You will arrive with me, stay close, smile when needed, and make it clear I am not broken and alone." Her tone was flat, like she was asking me to update a spreadsheet, but there was a tightness around her eyes that gave her away. "I am your employee," I said slowly. "This is a lot." "I know," she said. "You can say no." She paused, then added, "But I hope you will not." I should have refused. It was messy, risky. But I remembered how her hand had shaken in mine under those bright grocery store lights, how she had leaned into me like it was the only way to hold herself together. "Okay," I said, "I'll do it." Something in her shoulders eased just a little. "Good," she said. "We will need to prepare. There is a tailor on 5th Street. Meet me there tomorrow after work. 6 pages M sharp." And just like that, she looked back at her laptop. The meeting was over. The next day at 6, I walked into a small but fancy tailor shop downtown. Velvet curtains, framed photos of men in sharp suits, the smell of pressed fabric. Vivian was already there, standing by a mirror, checking her phone. She wore a simple black dress and low heels, but she still looked like she owned the place. "You're late," she said without looking up. I checked my watch. I was on time. I decided not to argue. The tailor, an older guy with sharp eyes, circled me with a measuring tape while Vivian watched. He pinned the shoulders and checked the length of the charcoal suit she had picked. "It suits him," she said, her voice soft for once. "Keep that one." I caught her watching me in the mirror, not as a boss checking an employee. More like a woman studying someone she could not quite figure out. When our eyes met, she looked away. We spent the next few days rehearsing, as she called it. We met in her office late, after most people had gone home. She explained who I might meet. Board members, important clients, old friends of her ex. "You do not call me Miss Hart at the gala," she said one night, the city lights glowing blue and gold outside her window. "It is Vivian when we are in public. If you slip, it will look strange." "Vivian," I repeated, testing it out. It felt strange in my mouth, almost too personal. She watched me for a long second, like she was trying to decide something, then nodded. We practiced walking into a room together, her hand on my arm, my hand at her back. It was awkward at first. My timing was off. I kept moving too fast or too slow. "Relax," she said one night, her hand resting lightly on my forearm. "You look like you are escorting me to a firing squad." "This whole thing feels like a firing squad," I muttered. To my surprise, she laughed. A real laugh. Not the polite, stiff one I had heard in meetings. It was warm and low, and it did something to my chest. I started to see small cracks in her armor. One morning I saw her outside the building, crouched down to pet a stray dog in the parking lot. Her face softened as she talked to it, calling animal control with her free hand. Another day I passed her office late at night and heard soft jazz playing from her phone. She snapped at me to get back to work, but there was no heat in it. We were supposed to be acting, practicing, setting up a story. But each night the fake lines blurred a little more. One evening, after a long run-through of small talk and fake smiles, she sat down on the edge of her desk and looked at me. The office was half dark, just the glow of the city and her desk lamp. "Do you ever feel alone in this city, Liam?" she asked. The question caught me off guard. "Yeah," I said honestly. "Work keeps me busy, but when I go home it is just me and a microwave dinner. Sometimes the quiet feels too loud." She nodded slowly. "I know that feeling." For a second her eyes looked tired, almost sad. Then she straightened, and the moment was gone. The night of the gala came faster than I expected. I stood in front of my bathroom mirror in the suit the tailor had fitted. It hugged my shoulders just right. I looked like someone who belonged in a room full of rich people. I did not feel like it. My phone buzzed with a text. "Vivian, downstairs in 10. Do not keep me waiting." I grabbed my keys, checked my tie one last time, and headed down. Her black BMW waited under the streetlight, shining like something out of a movie. I opened the passenger door and stopped for half a second. She was stunning. She wore a deep green dress that set off her dark hair and eyes. Her hair was pinned up, but softer than at work, a few strands loose around her face. Her makeup was simple but perfect. She looked powerful and beautiful and very, very real. "You clean up well," she said, her eyes scanning me. "You too," I said. "Thought you might scare everyone away in a suit again." She rolled her eyes, but I saw the hint of a smile. The gala was in a hotel downtown, all glass and light. Inside, the ballroom was full of people in suits and gowns. A band played soft jazz. Waiters moved around with trays of champagne. As soon as we walked in, Vivian looped her arm through mine. Her grip was steady. "Do not stare," she murmured near my ear. "If you look nervous, they will smell it." "Too late," I said under my breath. We moved through the room together. She introduced me as her boyfriend without a flinch. "This is Liam," she said to a board member. "He works in analytics and has been very patient with my schedule." I shook hands, smiled, answered questions about work, sports, even the weather. I could feel people sizing me up. Some smiled. Some looked confused. Some looked jealous. I also watched her. The way she held herself straight when someone mentioned her ex. The way her fingers tightened on my arm when a client joked about her, softening up. Each time, I stepped in, changed the subject, said something stupid about the dessert or the band. More than once, she gave me a quick look that said thank you without the words. Later in the night, the band started a slow song. The lights dimmed a little. Couples drifted onto the dance floor. "Come on," she said quietly, tugging my hand. "We should sell this all the way." She placed one hand in mine, and I set my other hand at the small of her back. Her dress was soft under my fingers. Her face was close now, her eyes not sharp, but searching. We moved slowly to the music. I tried not to step on her feet. "This is strange, right?" she asked, her voice almost lost under the saxophone. "Yeah," I said, "but I don't want it to stop." Her breath hitched just a little. Her eyes lifted to mine. For a moment, the ballroom faded. No clients, no investors, no ex-husband. Just me and her, and the soft pull of the music. She let her forehead rest lightly against my shoulder for a second, like she needed the contact. When the song ended, we stepped apart, but her hand stayed in mine as we walked off the dance floor. Later, when we rode the elevator down at the end of the night, the doors closed and the noise of the gala cut off. It was just us in the small, quiet space. She let out a slow breath and leaned back against the wall. "Tonight was not terrible," she said. "High praise from you," I said. She laughed softly. The sound filled the elevator. I looked at her, at the woman in the green dress who trusted me enough to let me see behind her mask. "Vivian," I said, my voice low, "this doesn't feel fake anymore." She looked at me, and for the first time there was no ice in her eyes at all, just fear, hope, and something that looked a lot like the way I felt. She did not say a word, but her fingers slid into mine and held on. The week after the gala felt like walking on a tightrope with no net under me. On the outside, everything went back to normal. I sat at my usual desk. I opened my usual spreadsheets. People sent the same kinds of emails. But inside, nothing felt normal. I kept replaying that night in my head. Vivian, in the green dress, her hand in mine. The way she rested her forehead on my shoulder for that 1 second like she was letting herself lean on someone. The way she held my hand in the elevator when I said it didn't feel fake anymore. I went into work on Monday expecting her to call me in, to talk about what happened, to lay down rules, or maybe admit she felt something too. But she didn't. She walked through the office like always, hair pinned up, black suit, heels clicking on the tile. She gave orders, talked to department heads, checked her watch. She didn't look at me once. At first, I told myself she was just being careful. CEO and analyst didn't exactly scream public romance. So I waited. 1 day, 2 days. By Wednesday, my chest felt tight. On Thursday morning, everything exploded. I was in the break room pouring myself a second cup of coffee when I heard 2 people from marketing whispering by the water cooler. "Did you see the photo from the gala?" one of them said. "What, of Hart?" the other asked. Yeah. Never thought the Ice Queen would actually let someone touch her. They laughed under their breath. My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone and checked the company group chat. There it was, a grainy picture someone had snapped on their phone. Me and Vivian on the dance floor, my hand on her back, her face tilted up toward mine, both of us smiling. It looked real. Too real. Someone had captioned it, "Guess we know how to get promoted now." I felt the blood drain from my face. The picture wasn't dirty, no kiss, no weird pose. But in a place like this, where everyone watched everything, it was enough to start rumors. By lunch, I could feel eyes on me everywhere I went. When I walked past desks, conversations dipped and then rose again. Sleeping his way up, I heard someone mutter as I passed. "She could be his mother," another voice hissed. I gripped my coffee so hard the lid popped off. I tried to focus on my work, but my hands shook over my keyboard. I wondered if she had seen it. If she knew what people were saying. If she cared. At 1:30 p.m., an email hit my inbox from HR subject meeting. 2 p.m. My heart slammed against my ribs. When I walked into the small conference room, my palms were sweaty. 2 HR reps sat on one side of the table with folders in front of them. Vivian sat at the far end, her posture straight, her face blank. "Have a seat, Liam," the head of HR said. I sat down, my eyes flicking to Vivian. She didn't look at me. She stared at the table, jaw tight. "We've received reports of inappropriate conduct at the company gala," HR started. "There's a photo circulating that suggests a possible relationship between you and Ms. Hart. As you know, this raises questions about power imbalance and conflict of interest." "It's not what you think," I said quickly. "The gala." "We'll give you a chance to explain," he said, holding up a hand. "But first, we have to protect the company. Until this is reviewed, you're being suspended with pay effective immediately. You're not to enter the building or access company systems until further notice." The word "suspended" hit me like a brick. I turned my head, looking at Vivian, waiting for her to say something. To step in. To tell them this was her idea, her plan. That she asked me to pretend. That I wasn't chasing her for power. But she didn't say a word. Her face was still. Her hands were folded so tightly in her lap that her knuckles had gone white. She kept her eyes down. "Vivian," I said, my voice low. She didn't look up. HR wrapped up the meeting, slid a printed document across the table, and made me sign it. Suspension. Investigation. Code of conduct. The words blurred on the page. I walked out of that room feeling like the floor had dropped away. They took my badge at the front desk. I stepped out into the bright San Diego sun, with nothing but my phone and a knot of anger and hurt in my chest. Back at my apartment, I paced the living room, trying to make sense of it. She had pulled me into this. The supermarket. The gala. The act. The hand-holding. The dance. And then she sat there and let them treat me like I was some problem they needed to get rid of. I grabbed my phone and typed out a message with my thumb shaking. "You let them suspend me. Was it all just a game to you?" I hit send before I could second-guess it. The message showed as delivered. Then, nothing. Minutes passed. An hour. 2 hours. No reply. Anger burned in my stomach. I felt stupid. A toy. Some safe prop she could use to look human in front of the board and then toss away when it got messy. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I shot off a few half-hearted job applications. I tried to watch TV. None of it stuck. My mind stayed stuck in that conference room. In her silence. 2 days later, my friend Josh from the analytics team called me. "Dude," he said as soon as I picked up, "you seeing this?" Quote, "Seeing what?" I asked. "Your email," he said. "Company announcement. Check it." My heart started racing. I opened my inbox on my phone. My company access was still active for email. There at the top was a message from the board. Subject, leadership change. I opened it. It said Vivian had resigned as CEO, effective immediately. She had chosen to pursue other opportunities. The board thanked her for her years of leadership. There was some fake corporate language about new direction and continued growth. My head spun. "She quit," I said. "Quit?" Josh snorted on the phone. "More like refused to play nice. Rumor is the board wanted to make an example out of you, fire you, blame you for inappropriate behavior, so she stayed safe. Instead, she went off on them and walked. Whole senior team is freaking out." I sank down onto my couch. "She defended me?" I asked, my voice quiet. "Hard," he said. "I wasn't in the room, but people are talking. Said she told them it was her fault, her idea, and she wouldn't let them ruin some analyst to save face. She turned in her badge and left. No one has seen her since." When the call ended, I just sat there staring at the wall. The anger I had been clinging to started to crumble. She hadn't spoken in that HR meeting because she was strategizing, not to protect herself, to protect me. She found a way to make sure I got suspended and not fired while she took the real hit on the back end. She gave up everything. The company she built, the title everyone feared, the power she had earned. For me, I looked at my last message to her. "You let them suspend me. Was it all just a game to you?" Shame burned through me. I tried calling her. Her work line went dead. Her company email bounced back. I dug through old messages until I found the personal number she had texted from once about the tailor. I called. Straight to voicemail. Days passed. I went by the office building and saw a new name being added under CEO in the lobby. I even walked to the downtown condo where I knew she lived. The doorman told me she had moved out. No forwarding address. She was gone. I kept thinking about her saying she felt alone in this city, about the way her voice had shaken in the supermarket, about her laugh in the elevator, about her fingers sliding into mine like they belonged there. I had fallen for her without meaning to, not for the CEO, not for the power, but for the woman underneath the armor. Now she had vanished, and I didn't know how to find her or how to fix what I had said. One late night, restless and tired of staring at my ceiling, I grabbed my keys and drove. I didn't even know where I was going until I pulled into the parking lot of the same supermarket where it all started. The place was almost empty again. Same buzzing lights. Same cold air. Same aisles. I walked in, heart heavy, telling myself I was being stupid. She wouldn't be here. Why would she? Still, my feet carried me straight to the wine section, to that aisle where she had grabbed my wrist and changed my life. I turned the corner, eyes on the shelves, and stopped cold. There, standing in front of the Reds, holding a familiar bottle of Cabernet, was Vivian. Hair down, no makeup, no suit, just a simple sweater and jeans. For a second, I thought she was a ghost my mind had created because I wanted to see her so badly. Then, she looked up. Her eyes met mine. Surprise flashed across her face. Then, something else. Hope. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. "Vivian," I said, my voice rough. She blinked, like she wasn't sure I was real either, and whispered, "Liam." We were back where it started, but this time there was no act, no threat, no audience. Just the two of us in a quiet aisle, with everything unsaid hanging between us, and one last chance to finally tell the truth. For a second, we just stared at each other in that harsh supermarket light. Same aisle, same shelves, same buzzing sound above us. It felt like time had folded in on itself and dropped us back where everything started. Vivian was holding a bottle of red wine. Her hair was loose around her shoulders. No perfect bun, no blazer. Just a soft gray sweater and dark jeans. She looked smaller like this, but somehow more real than ever. "Liam," she said again, a little stronger this time. "Hey, I managed, my throat tight. I thought I was seeing things." She let out a short breath that sounded almost like a laugh. "I have been coming here a lot," she said. "Habit, I guess. Hard to let go of the place where I threatened to fire you in front of the milk." I smiled in spite of everything. "Yeah, you did kind of scare me to death." "You still did it," she said quietly. "You still helped me." The silence that followed was heavy, not empty, just full of things we had not said yet. "I heard about what you did," I said, "at the board, at the firm." Something flickered in her eyes. She set the bottle back on the shelf and folded her arms, like she was bracing herself. "I could not let them fire you," she said. "They wanted to use you as a shield and pretend everything was your fault. One young analyst is easier to sacrifice than a CEO with a name on the building. You quit your whole life for that," I said. "Your company, your position, everything you built." She shook her head. "I built that place, yes, I was proud of it, but somewhere along the way it became the only thing people saw. The board did not care about the truth, they only cared about the story they could sell." Her eyes met mine, steady now. "When they said they would fire you," she went on, "I realized I could either save myself or protect the one person who had never used me for anything. The man who held my hand in a grocery store when my past walked by. The one who made me feel like more than my job title. And then you sat there in HR and did not say anything," I said. The words came out rough. "I thought you chose them." Pain crossed her face. "I know," she said. "I saw the way you looked at me. I wanted to speak. I wanted to tell them everything, but they controlled the room. If I admitted the gala was my idea in front of them, they would have fired you on the spot and still asked me to stay. I had to keep you suspended and then walk away myself later. It was the only strategy I had." I swallowed hard. The anger I had been holding onto for weeks felt thin now, worn out by the truth. "I sent you a text," I said. "Something stupid. I said you let them bury me, that maybe it was all just a game." She closed her eyes for a second. "I read it," she said. I wanted to answer, but by then I had already handed in my resignation. They cut my access. I lost my number. I saw that message and realized I had hurt you even while trying to protect you. I thought you would never want to see me again." "Well," I said softly, "here I am. In the wine aisle. Again." That pulled a real smile out of her. Small, but real. "Why did you come here tonight?" she asked. "I could not sleep," I said. I kept thinking about the first night. About you grabbing my wrist and saying, "Pretend to be my boyfriend or you are fired." About everything that happened after. I guess I hoped the universe might give me one more chance to see you, to fix what I broke. She took a small step closer. We were not touching, but it felt close. "You did not break it alone," she said. "I built a life where I was always in control, and then I dragged you into my problems. You had every right to be angry." "I was angry," I said, "until I found out you walked away from everything for me. That kind of killed the anger." We stood there between rows of bottles and price tags, in a place that smelled like cardboard and cold air, and it felt more important than any meeting room I had ever been in. "I need to say this," I said. My voice shook a little, but I kept going. "I fell for you, Vivian, not for the title or the power, for the woman who hates storms. The woman who listens to jazz at midnight and pets stray dogs in the parking lot. The woman who trusted me enough to lean on me when she never leans on anyone." I thought I was just acting at first, but somewhere between the supermarket and the gala and that stupid elevator, it stopped feeling fake. "I love you." Her eyes filled fast. She pressed her lips together like she was trying to keep herself from falling apart right there in front of the discount tags. "You cannot say that lightly," she whispered. "I am older. I was your boss. People will talk. They will judge you. They have already judged you." "I know," I said. "They judged me when they saw that dance floor photo. They said things behind my back. It hurt, but it hurt a lot less than losing you." A tear slid down her cheek. She did not wipe it away. "I love you too," she said. The words came out quiet but clear. I tried not to. I told myself you were too young, that I had already hurt you enough. But when I walked out of that building for the last time, all I could think about was you. Not the board, not my ex, not my job, just you. I reached for her hand. This time it was not shaking. Her fingers curled into mine like they were meant to be there. "What are we supposed to do now?" I asked. "We do not work together. We do not have to pretend anymore. So what are we?" She took a slow breath and stepped closer so I could feel the warmth of her body across the small space between us. "We stop hiding," she said. "We stop acting. We start from where we are, not from where everyone expects us to be. No Ms. Hart, no CEO, no analyst. Just Vivian and Liam." I laughed softly. Vivian and Liam, who met in the milk aisle because she threatened his job. Her smile widened. "You did say you really did not want to lose your job," she said. "That is still true," I said, "but losing you would be worse." We stood there for another moment, just holding hands, letting the noise of the store fade into the background. No one turned the corner into our aisle. No one interrupted. It felt like the universe had stepped back to give us room. "Come on," she said finally, squeezing my hand. "If we stay here much longer, someone is going to need this bottle of wine more than we do." "Who says we do not need it?" I asked. She picked up the same bottle she had been holding before and dropped it into her basket. "Fine," she said. "We both need it." We checked out together. The cashier did not even look twice at us, just scanned our things and wished us a good night. Outside, the parking lot glowed under streetlights. The air was cool and smelled like wet asphalt and distant ocean. Vivian walked beside me, her arm brushing mine. It felt easy. "What are you doing now?" she asked as we reached her car, work-wise. "Looking," I said. "HR called. They are clearing my record, calling it a misunderstanding. I am free to move on. I figured I might try a smaller firm, maybe something where I am not invisible." She nodded. "You were never invisible to me," she said. "I know that now," I said. "Maybe that is why I am not as scared of starting over." She looked up at me, her eyes bright in the dim light. "I do not know what comes next," she said. "But I know I want you in it. Not as a story I tell myself to feel less alone. As something real." I stepped closer and wrapped my arms around her. She came into me without hesitation, her head resting against my chest, her hands sliding around my back. It felt like all the noise of the last few months finally went quiet. I could have kissed her then. It would have been easy. But I did not rush it. I just held her. She held me back. We stood there in the parking lot like we had all the time in the world. When we pulled back, she wiped at her face and laughed lightly. "Look at us," she said. "Crying in front of the wine aisle and hugging in a parking lot. Very professional." "We are off the clock now," I said. "We get to be human." She smiled. "Come over," she said. "I have glasses and you have a lot of stories to tell me. We can figure it out from there. No board, no rules, just us." "Yeah," I said. "I would like that." As we drove away from the store, the lights shrinking in the rearview mirror, I looked over at her, not as my boss, not as some unreachable woman in a glass office, as the person who had let me see every side of her and chose me anyway. My life was not simple anymore. It was not safe or neat. But as her hand found mine over the center console, I realized I did not want simple. I wanted this. It started with a threat in a milk aisle and a fake act at a gala. Now, it was a real chance at something that scared me in the best way. And this time, I was not